So in a lot of weddings, there's this part of the ceremony called the signing of the registry or something like that in different jurisdictions. That's where the couple sit down and put their signatures on a piece of paper that make them civilly, legally married. Now, when I was starting out, I had a lot of questions about this. There's the couple and then maybe a couple of witnesses and me, but there's not 5 chairs. This is not the Fellowship of the Ring or something like that. I don't know if they ever sat at a table together. If there's only 1 or 2 chairs and 5 people, how do we sit down? My name is Mark Alan Grollo. I'm a professional, full-time wedding officiant in Toronto, and I don't mean to be hysterical here, but there is this burning question: how do we sit down at the signing of the registry table? And so let's talk about that today. I want to give you 5 options. Yes, there may be a ton of different ones out there, but these are 5 options that I give my couples. I'll give you my favorites, and I will recommend one that you do not do. Here's one that I do not recommend, and I'll give you that at the end after I give you the 5 that I think really work well in a wedding ceremony for the signing of the registry. Now, before we get into the 5 options, let's talk about the order. So again, if we're talking about 1 or 2 chairs, the order for a wedding, for the signing in the ceremony, typically is that whole ladies first thing. Now, for a same-sex wedding, this might not be applicable. But if there's a bride and a groom and a maid of honor and a best man, typically the order for the signing goes like this. The bride signs first, then the groom, then the maid of honor, then the best man, and then we officiants go last. The second thing to consider before we get into the 5 options for seating at the signing of the registry table is, are there 2 chairs at the table or just 1? 2 of the options we're going to run through are going to be working with the consideration, the assumption that there's only 1 chair at the signing table, and then 3 of the options we're going to run through are going to be working with the reality that there are 2 chairs at the signing table. This is up to the couple. So right away, if you're thinking as an officiant, which one is better, you are going to have a preference. My preference is 2 chairs at the table, but some couples, some brides want to keep it very traditional, have just the 1 chair. So 1 chair, 2 chairs, there's no correct way, there's no right way. Again, I say this a lot, this is the glory of officiating weddings in the 21st century. No one is scandalized by what happens typically. So run it by your couple. We want to give them 5 clear options. Let's get right to it. So let's start with seating option number 1, that there are 2 chairs at the table. 2 chairs, and there are 2 configurations within this option. So first of all, we have the option that only the couple sits for the signing. So if you watched my other video, why I prefer kiss then sign rather sign than kiss, I will pronounce the couple as married, they will kiss, then we'll go to the signing table, and if there are 2 chairs and we're going with the whole only the couple sits option, then the couple will sit and they will sign, and their witnesses, the best man, maid of honor, say, will stand and sign standing. And then we officiants, we will kind of lean in and sign our part as well. But the whole time, the couple are sitting there on even level, chatting back and forth, relaxing. This is my favorite. I just think it's good to have the couple sitting together at the table. When it's just one sitting the whole time and the other never gets to sit, they're standing, then they're kind of leaning in over their shoulder. Oh, yay, we're married, isn't that great? It's not that bad. I'm making it sound worse than it is. But I really like when both members of the couple, after the ceremony, just before we finish here, they're sitting at the table together, side by side, on the same level, able to chit-chat and relax, and the rest of us sign standing around them. Now, the other option for the 2 chairs at the table situation is that first the couple signs, so they come to the table, they sit down, they sign, then they stand up, and then they move off to the side, and again, they're chatting, and it's great for photos, and then their witnesses, say a maid of honor and best man, they slide into those chairs, take their place, and then they sign. And in Ontario, my jurisdiction, they have to sign a couple of times, so their signing takes a little longer, and then the officiants, I sign after them. So just to recap that, 2 chairs at the signing table, we can do either only the couple sits and signs, everybody else signs standing around them, or we can do kind of 2 shifts. First, the married couple signs, then the witnesses sit and sign, and then the officiant signs just standing if we'd like. Now let's talk about the other configuration. There's only one chair at the signing table. Maybe the couple has chosen it this way. Maybe this is a restriction of the venue. Maybe they just couldn't find one more chair to put at the table. So option one for this configuration is only one member of the couple sits. So let's say the bride. Only the bride sits. And of course this fits with the whole queen for a day thing. It's her big day. And I think this is more traditional actually, that there's one chair at the signing table, the bride sits, everybody else has their turn signing, standing basically. Now this works. I do this in many weddings. I don't love it as much because of what I said. The married partner is kind of hovering, standing, leaning over. If it's a groom, he's just kind of trying to get in there. Hey honey, isn't this great? But he's towering over her. But it's definitely an option, and it's more traditional, and I do it plenty of times and it works. The second option for the one chair at the table configuration is each member of the wedding couple take their turn sitting in the chair. So let's say again, bride and groom. First, the bride will sit, she will sign, then she gets up, moves off to the side, then the groom can sit, he can sign, then he gets up and stands off with her. Then the two witnesses and the officiant, we can just sign standing up really quick around them, but really the chair is just reserved for the newlywed couple, one at a time. Third option for the one chair at the table configuration is that only the ladies sit. So in the case of, if it's a bride and groom wedding, the bride sits and she continues to sit while the groom signs. Then when they're both done signing, the bride stands up and moves over and stands with the groom. So they're off to the side, again, posing for the camera. It's really nice. And then the female witness, say the maid of honor, she has a seat and she sits there and signs, again in my jurisdiction, a couple of times. And then the best man will sign standing while she sits. And then the officiant, myself, will sign. But in this case, there's one chair, and of course all five of us have to sign, but only the bride takes her turn sitting, and then only the maid of honor takes her turn sitting. It's kind of that chivalrous ladies sit thing. Okay, so there you go. That was, if you were counting, that was 5 options based on 2 configurations. 2 chairs, 1 chair, couple of options for the first, 3 options for the last, so that's 5 signing, seating options. Here's the one I don't recommend, and it's for the single chair at the table configuration. I do not recommend that everybody takes a turn signing. I did this early on when I was an officiant, and it just didn't feel right after a while. There's so much movement. So first, the bride signs, and then she stands, and then the groom signs, and then he stands, and then the maid of honor takes her seat and signs, and then she gets up, and then the best man takes his seat, and then he stands up, and then it's just too much moving, too much getting up, too much chair moving back and forth, and it's a little bit chaotic. So I decided really early on just to never do that, and I've never looked back. It just didn't seem right. And the other FAQ, frequently asked question around signing is, what about the officiant? Do we sign? I would say, of course, if the chair is being occupied by the bride, say, for the whole time, then this option is out. But if you have a case where the chair is empty, they've gotten up and they've moved off and it's our turn to sign, again, we should sign last, I think. If the chair is empty and it kind of is conducive to it, I would say grab a quick seat and throw the signature in there. But basically, here's the thing to remember is we don't want to shoo people out of their chair. So I would say let's not be so bent on sitting down that we're essentially shooing the maid of honor out of her chair or the bride. There's no need to do that. So if someone's in the chair, stay standing and sign. If the chair is vacant, you still may want to sign standing. It's quicker. But if you want to take a seat and you think maybe the opportunity is right for it and it'll look good, then by all means, grab the chair when you sign. I just leave it to a game time decision. So there you go, a quick primer, a quick guide on who sits when in the signing of the registry for the wedding ceremony. Are there other configurations and options out there? Probably. I don't do them. These are the 5 that I use and offer my couple in our wedding ceremony planning session. If you've seen other ways, or if you have a favorite way, or you disagree with me about the musical chairs option, I would love to hear it in the comments. What do you do for the signing of of the registry in the ceremony. Make sure you look in the link down below and grab my ultimate wedding ceremony writing guide. That'll help you just get started and get off on the right foot if you're putting together a wedding ceremony. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm constantly putting up new videos full of pointers and pro tips all about how to officiate a wedding.